leave your message for Tabitha Cook.
Hello?
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm trying to pretend like I'm doing good.
Okay. Well, that's fair.
Yes, ma'am.
That's very fair. I was wondering, are you mad at me?
No, ma'am, I'm mad at the situation I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what's going on, baby?
I got a lot of people that tried to help me out, but they had a lot of really messed up situations of their own. Like with you and Josh being drunk and screaming at people all the fucking time, and Graham, he offered to help me and to find out what was going on with me, but every time Graham tried to take the time, Josh, drunk, had to have that attention, because that's what drunks do. I mean, I was freaked out the whole time I was there from all the screaming that Josh was doing and all the... When you asked me to stop buying his alcohol, I did, though. I stopped giving him money for beer when you asked me to.
Yeah.
He's an expensive drinker.
Yeah, well, he took a lot of fucking toll on everybody, baby, and he really fucked a lot of people up and hurt a lot of people in the process of his bullshit.
I didn't like what he did to Sid.
Yeah. He's an asshole, man.
He is an
This
asshole.
is why I left him.
I'm glad you left him. You know, that literally the only issue that I had the whole time I was there was his constant screaming. Nobody was allowed to be happy.
Yeah.
Like anybody who was in a good mood, he threw a tantrum at. And when you guys spent the... Like, I see 6 girls and women cleaning up the entire house and him coming upstairs and screaming at all of them that he has to do everything. And then he goes back out to the garage and messes with things that don't benefit anyone but him. And they don't really even benefit him. I didn't understand it, you know. I mean, I kind of do, I guess, you know. I mean, I get selfish and want to spend some time on myself too, but like, not like that.
Yeah.
Like you know me, Tabby. You know, I help people. That's what I do.
I know. Well, and that's why when I was listening to your feed this morning, I was like, whoa, wait a second, what's going on? Is he really mad at me?
I'm mad at my situation. I don't want to be here anymore. I needed people to come forward, and everybody was... There's a lot of Joshes in the world, and I got a lot of friends who have Joshes in their lives. And most of the people that were trying to help, like even Fuzzy, you know, when I called you that first time and you weren't able to have me over there, like, and I'm not mad at you over that. You know, it's not your fault. You're not the one that assaulted me, but like, you know, Fuzzy, all he wanted to do was yell about Tammy all night, and it eventually got to the point where I was in a ball on the floor covering my head and in the fetal position and trying not to fight back, you know. I mean, it...
Yeah.
And, you know, Jameson, I guess, does that to people.
Yeah. Well, that's why I've chose not to drink. You know, I've chose to keep my life pretty much sober.
Me too.
In the last month, I've probably smoked a lot more weed just because I have a lot of shit on my fucking plate right now with a kid hanging himself in my closet and
Yeah.
shit like that. But, I mean, fuck, dude, like, I've really tried to, like, make it better for me and my kids, and it's so much better now that... Get out of here! Go! So much better that Josh isn't here because it's not that added influence of bullshit.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy with Graham right now. Like, Graham and I make a really cute couple.
Well, whether you're a cute couple or not, Graham's pretty badass. I mean, I am a bit mad at Graham just because, like, he he hasn't been through the system. He doesn't understand timetables. He doesn't understand the importance of, well, like when the police in chapel were talking to me, when Alicia and her dad were fucking with my head right before my grandma's funeral. I was up all night before my grandma's funeral. And when the officer showed up, he asked if it was just one of those things where I just needed somebody to talk to. And no, it wasn't a situation where I just needed somebody to talk to. I needed him to take my report. I needed him to take it seriously. And he didn't. He pretended to because Graham said, yeah, he just needs somebody to talk to. And then the officers later, when I tried to make him take a report about it, they were like, well, your friend said that you were bipolar, so it doesn't matter. And I'm like, all right, Sheriff DaCosta, he didn't say that I was bipolar. He said I was autistic. It's not the same thing, you
Right.
know? So the thing is, a lot of people take the
But I
mentally...
don't think Graham was trying to harm you in any way or make you feel like you were
I know, that's
not in a good place.
that's the part that really is the most harmful to me, is that he doesn't understand. He doesn't understand like you do. He doesn't understand like Laura does. He doesn't understand like, you know, so many other people do. People who knew me before Natalie died. People who knew me back when I used to save lives. Like, that's what I did. And even after Natalie died, I went and rescued Desiree twice, you know?
Yeah.
And I guess she got stabbed again. She
Yeah,
survived it.
she got tore up pretty bad.
Yeah, I got some pictures from Christine about it. She was like, all right, Sean, you know, I know that, you know, you might be close enough to help her out. I can't because I'm on my way to Pittsburgh. I think that's where she was going to. But she's like, Desiree's in a real bad way. She's in a real bad place. She's over by a truck stop. I don't know if she's doing prostitution or what, but like as soon as I heard that, I was like, all right, I know the scenario with Cheyenne, and I know the trade between Cheyenne and Boulder as far as human trafficking is pretty abhorrent. She was actually going to help me track down some people that might have been in the Cheyenne area, a couple missing people. But that didn't end up happening. I didn't have the money, and she was trying to recover. You know, when people are recovering from meth, they have to have attention, and I wasn't able to with all this court stuff that I had to jump through and all the hoops. So she was, and I feel fucking shitty for her. She was stuck in my apartment in Sydney, Nebraska for like 2 weeks by herself. When she left, she stole everything worth value. Yeah. So
Wow.
when I tell people that, they're like, man, I'd beat that bitch's ass. And I'm like, no, this is Desiree. She's a friend of mine. You got to understand the situation, first of all. You know, when somebody's in that scary of a situation, they're going to do some stuff because they're desperate. And I care more about people than I care about things. Like, I still get in contact with Desiree once in a while.
Yeah, I still talk to Desiree, too.
Right? Christine as well. I've been trying to keep in contact with her. She gave me her old Facebook, and then she stopped using Facebook, and she just uses Messenger. She had a lot of backlash for letting me use her Facebook account, especially since I exposed a few predators that she's friends with, like Derek Apicata. I exposed the shit out of him, and he's not the only one. Plus, she's having issues with Mobley, and I don't know what's going on there. The last time I saw him, he seemed like he was on meth time. He was on tweaker time, but he didn't come across as if he was tweaking. He came across as if he was trying to do the jobs of 20 people.
Yeah.
And like you know the life. You know, it's not easy out there.
I know it so well, and you know, I've tried personally to put myself where I can do better for me and my kids. And Sean, I should have never stayed with Josh as long as I did.
If it hadn't been for Josh, I would have stayed there. I wouldn't have had a panic attack the whole time I was there about him being drunk and screaming. I mean, that gives me the worst anxiety, you know, especially where I grew up with the people I grew up with.
Yeah.
It's PTSD all
And
over
that's
again.
where I felt bad.
Well, I didn't
You
blame
know,
you for any of that.
he pushed me to that point of fucking walking away. You just don't do that to kids. You don't treat people that way. You don't, you know, it wholeheartedly, I think I made the best decision I could for me and my family right now.
I think you did too. And I wasn't in that situation, so my opinion doesn't actually matter. But Josh is abusive as fuck.
Yeah.
You know, and then there was a few times where he's like, dude, you know what, you gotta pitch me something for beer. And like, I did cut him off when you asked me to, but there was a couple of times there where he wanted stuff, and I didn't want to have any sort of situation, especially with you, because I love you, you know. I mean, I don't want to have you thinking less of me because he was basically blackmailing me staying there. Like, you know, if you give me your jacket, and I'm like, all right, well, you can have my leather jacket. It's just a leather jacket. But, you know, he was on that for a bit. He was on that kick for a bit where he had to have that jacket. I was like, all right, dude, it's yours. Just. But he was also really nice most of the time. You know, even when he was drunk and being mean to everybody else, he was pretty nice to me. I think that's mostly because he knows I could beat him piss limber at will.
He made his bed and he can fucking lay in it. Honestly, I'm done with the point of where I don't want it in my life. And I don't know, like the way Graham treats me is totally different than the way Josh or Norm treated me, you know?
Fuck Norm. Fuck Norm.
It's a whole different person, and you know, he's gentle with me. He loves me. He cares for me. He's like, he generally is a good person, you know?
Yeah, my little sister totally had a thing for him, but I think she'd get over that now that his hair's cut, because he doesn't look as much like Jesus. That's a terrible joke.
I'm madly in love with Graham right now. He treats me so well.
See, that's something about Graham that I noticed too. I mean, he's a genuinely good guy. When I had an argument with Stretch in chapel, Graham wanted to go make some money, and I'm like, dude, go make money. You know, just because I have an issue with Stretch right now doesn't mean that you can't go work for him or work with him. You know, this is a issue between me and Stretch. He has no respect for me, and I have no respect for him. He's like 60-something years old and lives with his mama still.
Right.
You know? I mean...
But honestly, Sean, you know, I'm in a good place right now with him. And we're okay. We're just trying to financially get back up on our feet because Josh fucked me in a lot of places.
I know he did.
And with a lot of shit.
Fucked you with a lot of friends, too.
Yeah.
We lost a lot of people this year.
I had to make the decision to walk away, and I did because it wasn't healthy for me or my kids.
He was the entirety of my issue. I'm sorry. He was the entirety of my issue there. I mean, I had some issues with Graham, but it wasn't there. It was in chapel, and it was, you know, I needed him to do stuff faster. Like, right now, I don't have the money to feed myself. I feel like shit when you know, like when I was there, I had money. I was able to pay up my part. I was able to, you know, help pay up part of the bills for using the water and using the food, and you know, be thankful for you guys cooking, because like you guys cooked for me well, all right, not for me, you cooked for us, but still, it's something that I got to take part in, and I got to contribute that money, and I didn't feel like trash for being there because I wasn't contributing because I had that money. But now I don't have that money coming in. They took away my disability because I was locked up for so long.
Well, you're always welcome to come back, and we can figure out how to get you settled again.
Well, there's a lot of warrants out for my arrest. I need to get some people to come forward. You know most of the people that I do. I need people to come forward and make a statement about who I am and harass the shit out of the news about it, because I mean I saved evidence of everything. You know, I mean my court documents show that they lied out their asses on the court documents. They took they listened to the people who were predatory towards me and wouldn't take my statement, and then they falsified information on their statements to favor the people who were predatory towards me. Like I said everything outright and out loud. I'm not going to say all autistic people are honest. I am. But when I start cursing and I'm pissed off, them words don't come out nice, and I don't want to get to that point. It's the fact that I really needed help, you know, and everywhere that I went, there was somebody like Josh who was just, oh, Sean's getting attention, I have to have it. Graham was legit going to help me out.
Was that when you were ranting and you said, you know, you call your 3-year-old a cunt? I knew that was aimed right at Josh.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, maybe I should call him and find out how he's actually doing.
I decided to kill myself on the 29th of this month, and I don't want to tell you that because you just had somebody commit suicide at your house. I need to have hope, and I don't have it because I needed people to come together, and they couldn't. It's because almost all the women that offered to help are supporting people like Josh. Almost all of the men who offered to help are supporting women like Josh. A lot of them are dealing with, you know, situations because they're too broke. You know, they can't afford to do all this stuff. Miss Peaches has been fucking phenomenal rock star status, but she's been too broke to help. She doesn't have the money, you know. I mean, when I found out Natalie was missing, I was at Peach's house. You know, I was in her kitchen. It was on speakerphone. She got to hear that whole conversation, which was basically me hearing that Natalie was missing and hitting the floor. But I mean, I'm not mad at you. I'm so mad at the situation. And like with Josh, right now I'm super excited for you that he's gone. And then the whole thing going through my head is I can't change the fact that she didn't get rid of him while I was there, you know? And that's something that
I was really trying. I for months now, and for damn near a year now, I have tried to work shit out with him, and it just never worked the way I wanted it to work. You know, I just needed him to leave because he was dragging me down, and he was dragging my kids down. Can you guys leave the room, please?
Yeah, he's the kind of selfish people think I am. The way that I was painted, you know? I mean, that's not to say that he's doesn't have good qualities. He does, just few and far between, and it takes so long to get to him. And he says 100 times a day, you know, they just need to accept that I'm a drinker and I'm going to keep on drinking, and if they don't like that, they can fuck off. And I'm like, all right, she's keeping the roof over your head, bud. You know, you're lucky that you're there because you're not really welcome there. And I didn't say that to him, but I mean, Candace said a few things that made me uncomfortable with him, and you said a few things that made me uncomfortable with him, and Sid said a few things that made me uncomfortable with him, and I was trying to be comfortable with him, but then all the things that you guys were telling me about him, he's doing in front of me, and I'm like, I can't handle this. I can't handle somebody treating girls that way. Like, you know, I can understand if you guys were going around spreading lies saying that he was doing things that he wasn't and he was getting assaulted for it, then yeah, it would make sense to me. But that's not the scenario. He was getting pissed off because he'd wake up with a hangover and doesn't like kids playing at 9, 10, or 11 in the morning. And I'm like, you know, you're lucky they weren't up screaming at 5:30, you know?
Right?
But you know, with Candace and Sid, like they're good women, and I don't know, like when Sid let me use a room that night to try to organize and to make some videos and stuff, like she was quiet, she was articulated, she was, you know, she treated me like a person. She was in the room with me while I was in there, but she sat against the wall and was just listening, you know. She wasn't a problem. None of you, literally nobody else in, all right, that's not true. Shelby was a pain in the ass. Her and Autumn going at it all the damn time.
They're kids, though. They're gonna be.
Right? And they're sisters. They're gonna be at each other's throats. But that doesn't mean that they're bad kids. I mean, Shelby.
They're great kids. They're just ornery.
Shelby, she's Josh's kind of golden boy, I guess is the way I'd say it. Whenever she'd do something wrong, Josh is yelling at the wrong girl.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping, well, obviously you're a fair-minded person. You're obviously treating them fairly, but you know that's the thing is it takes one person like that. Sorry, it only takes one person like that to screw up everything for everybody in the house, and everybody's on edge, and everybody's on their tippy toes. And like for me, I needed a quiet environment that I was safe in.
Well, and that's why I made the choices that I made. I didn't make the choices because I was being an ass. I was making the choices that I made because at that point I was done. I couldn't take it anymore. I can't walk in addiction with somebody for 9 years and not expect to change, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm done walking addiction with somebody. You know, if you have a hang up and you have a problem, then you don't need to be in my life.
Right. And the other thing is, like, you work with people.
And care for people, I can't put myself in that position.
When I called you because your sister was all messed up on Pearl Street, like, you came down and you did what you could. You didn't treat her like trash. You tried to be helpful. And with Josh, I would imagine you were the same way the whole time. Like, you don't just quit on people.
No, I don't. I tried so many times. Dude, why don't you go to a rehab? Why don't you, like, I will stand beside you if you quit. I will be here 100%. Like, I tried everything in the world to let him know that I cared, and he didn't give a fuck. He looked at me, square in my face, and said, I'm not going to stop anything, and you can just fuck off. And then he looked at me, and I said, can you please call me by my name? My name is not bitch. And he said, no, your name today is bitch. And that's when I was like, all right, I'm done.
Right? Thank goodness.
Because if he had that look in his eyes where I thought he was honestly going to attack me, so I wasn't going to allow it to happen. My sister showed up. My sister called the cops. And he started screaming at me, like, why did you let your sister call the cops? I said, man, I'm not fucking physically able to stop my sister from calling the cops. Obviously, my sister had a fucking problem with you.
Yeah, rightfully so. I mean, I shouldn't say that because I wasn't there for that specific situation, but he did that every day, so it's not like it's anything new. It's not like it's something that I haven't witnessed.
Right.
When I saw him bleeding all over at the store there, like, after I hadn't seen you guys for a month or so, and I went over to, like, the cops came over and wanted to talk to me about it. I'm like, what the hell are the cops talking to me about it for? Do you know where this guy lives? I'm like, oh, God. They just hauled him off in an ambulance, and now they're asking me if I know where he lives.
Yeah.
I don't get it, Tabby. Like, I saved lives.
It went too far, baby. It went way too far, and I should have walked away fucking 2 or 3 years ago, dude. I should have. But I didn't, because I wanted to see him change. I had that faith that he was going to change, but he didn't, so.
Well, you finally got a son out of it. It only took like forever and a day.
I've had a beautiful baby, and if he pulls his head out of his ass, he can fucking see his kids too, you know. But I'm not gonna let him see his kids if he's high or drunk. I'm just not gonna do it.
Right? That's another thing. Like everybody that I know is on that shit. Not literally. I
Yeah,
know you're not on it, and I know Graham's not on it, and I know I'm not on it. But I mean, that's such an epidemic now. I mean, I left Chapel, Nebraska to go to Boulder because people are like, "Oh yeah, you got to go to Boulder. That's where people don't do meth, and if you do meth, they friggin' run you out." And I got there, and I'm like, "Oh my god, there's juggalos everywhere with heroin." You know,
yeah,
and now it's all meth and heroin, you know.
yeah.
But I don't, and yes, I'm very angry. I'm very frustrated with the situation. But it's the fact that like over at your house, I wasn't mad at you. I was mad at the situation, and I was mad at Josh because he wouldn't stop being an abusive asshole. And yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a little bit angry at Graham about that whole situation at my grandma's funeral. But I mean, right now I'm literally all of my friends that were going to do stuff, they didn't understand there was a deadline, and I'm strapped for resources, and that's why I want to die. I mean, I needed help. I needed people to take it seriously, and it's been a lot of weeks that I've been here past when Graham was going to send that, and this lady is taking care of me, and I didn't come down here with the intent of her taking care of me. I needed that information, and I needed to get it done, and I was going to do that at a
Can
Starbucks.
I scan it somehow and email it all to you?
You can, but I do need the physical paperwork too.
Right, but I mean, if I scan it all, it'll be cheaper or easier for me to get it to you, and then I can physically send you what you need when I got money to do it. Because literally, like, we are so strapped right now.
Exactly, and that's the point with people are like, you're if the cops even said that I didn't have any friends that were willing to help me because of my behavior. I'm like, you should see me when I'm at my friend's house. Like Miss Tabby, I need you to make a statement about how I am because the world doesn't get to see that. The cops don't get to see that. They only get to see what they're shown, and they're not willing to look at what I have to show them because they called me mentally ill because I tried to
Yeah,
turn in officers for assaulting me.
yeah.
Okay, I
Let
don't.
me see what I can do. Let me see if I can email that shit and scan it off to you, and then I can once I get money, I can go ahead and send you what I need to send you. Right now, I'm waiting on my child support, and a little bit of Christmas money I got was from a church, and I actually spent a lot of it on the kids. I only kept like $20 for myself.
You're good, Tabby.
But I definitely want to get that shit out to you. It's just I'm so like in the position that I'm in, and Graham's trying too. He's like, I need to get this stuff to him, and I'm like, I know you do, but we're financially stuck because we literally have had so much happen in the past 2 months. It went from Josh to due to my closet to Christmas, literally.
Yeah, that.
Thanksgiving Day, Josh left. The next day, Graham came home. Graham watched me fall apart, and Graham's like, "Look, I'm here for you 100%, Tabby. Like, obviously, you need somebody."
Yeah.
And one thing led to another, and I'm glad I'm with him.
Well, Graham's a badass. He is. His understanding of things, though, is very lacking. That's the only issue that I had with him. He didn't understand the situation well enough, and with Josh requiring, all the attention that alcoholics require, and Graham not being the male of the household, he's pretty well feeling subject to whatever it is that Josh is wanting him to do. He pretty well just rolled with the punches. But that's the situation for me, is that everything is a day late and a dollar short, and it's all dependent upon others because I can't take care of myself. I physically can't, and mentally I can't. And with the police down there assaulting me, all these people saying, you know, you should sue them. I'm like, shit, I can't even get my friends to write a fucking report. I can't even get the police to
Yeah.
take a report. And they keep refusing to collect evidence, and that's even worse because when they refuse to collect evidence, eventually it gets destroyed or gets lost. That phone, I tried to turn my phone into the police, you know, probably 10 times easily before I lost it. And then the police are telling me in chapel that